Hey you, what up? Welcome to my channel or welcome back. I'm Maryam. Today I'm going to be testing out, reviewing, swatching, and applying to my face the new Urban Decay Naked Cyber palette. So now this is a very Y2K inspired palette. It's giving me 2000s vibes, maybe even some 90s vibes with all the frosty colors. I haven't looked much into this palette outside of the fact that the reviews are pretty good and you guys want to see a review on it, so this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to deliver a Team Truth style verdict as always and per usual. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Remember to subscribe if you aren't already. Hit that notification bell so you can see all of my Wednesdays and Sundays videos. And now let's get into it. Urban Decay Naked Cyber palette. Here we go. So this is the latest Naked palette from Urban Decay. It is $49. We have a bunch of frosty duochrome shades in here. What is a duochrome, might you ask? Well, duochrome is an eyeshadow that reflects two different colors depending on how the light hits it. I'm not really sure if these look duochrome to me, but I will be able to determine that once I swatch everything. Also, another thing I should mention is that some of these shadows can be applied wet or dry, so we will also test that. The outer packaging of this palette definitely reminds me of, what was that called? A circuit board or a motherboard? Whatever is inside of the computer, you know? Except it's not green. I do remember those motherboards or circuit boards being green. So it would have been nice to see like that green shade in there, or maybe also that gold, you know, just so it could complete the vibes. But in any case, this definitely does remind me of 2000s Christina Aguilera makeup, Gwen Stefani makeup. I'm seeing all of that in these shades. It's inspiring me just a little bit, but I will say that the whole Y2K aesthetic, it feels like we're really milking it. It feels like we're overdoing it just a little bit. It really honestly wasn't that cool. The makeup wasn't really that awesome in my opinion. From what I remember, there was a lot of this like weird cultural appropriation on some of the parts of the celebrities. It was just like a lot of weird moments happening that, I don't know, nowadays I don't think we can replicate, but I will leave that alone. Let's just talk about the makeup. What else do we know about this? I think this is like the 10th or maybe the 9th or I don't know, maybe possibly even the 12th Naked palette, and I'm still kind of into it. I feel like Urban Decay is synonymous with the Naked palette. I'm not really mad at it. It's their branding, it's their thing. I remember my first Naked palette, I remember my second, I remember my third. I am someone who I guess you can call a collector of Naked palettes. Anyways, let's get into these swatches. We need the swatch model. So, Naked Cyber palette.
Sounds like a 90s porn.
Swatch model, please.
Less talking.
Less talking, more modeling.
More modeling.
Is that what you remember about Y2K? 90s porn?
Actually, yeah. The internet was becoming more widely available, and so that's the first thing people were doing is downloading nude pics, watching porn.
Thanks for that.
AI.
What does AI stand for? Seriously?
Of course.
What does it stand for?
Artificial intelligence.
Is that a duochrome or not?
That's not a duochrome.
Okay, I guess that's a flat shade. Let's give it one more dippy dip.
I mean,
remember that song? When I dip, you dip. When I dip, we dip, something like that.
Yeah. Metadata.
Metadata. Okay.
That's pretty.
That's pretty nice.
Nice color. Cute.
It's good.
Virtual. The future is made of virtual insanity.
Needs a double dip there. It's very close to your skin tone. Just a pinch of
really,
peach here.
Yeah, you think so? It's pretty chalky. Electroid.
Electrode. What is an electrode?
Electrode, sorry.
What is that?
Isn't that like part of a circuit board? Like one of like the little bulbous things that's on the circuit that kind of makes it work?
I have no clue. Cyberspace.
Nobody says cyberspace anymore. Wasn't like cyberspace like pretty much like saying the internet?
I think so. I think this is their first duochrome.
That's pretty.
Do you remember when George Bush called it the internets?
I do.
He was kind of like a Y2K personality, wasn't he?
He was.
Damn, I feel old.
I don't remember. I was too young.
Nice save.
Gadget.
Gadget. Looks like the color of your shirt.
Kinda, yeah, actually.
It's gonna need a double dip.
Call IT. Intellectual technology.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Ooh, that's a really pretty duochrome.
That is pretty. Not a bot.
Not a bot. This one felt a little hairy. The heck? Very weird.
That's nice though.
But it is pigment galore. Wow.
Yeah, that's really
very
nice.
chromy.
That looks like you go against it and it changes, you know, the fabric.
Oh, yeah, like the sequence, yeah.
Yeah. Static.
Ooh, I feel like this one's gonna be my favorite.
Well, see, these next two colors really like are bringing the palette together for me personally.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I needed that.
This first half is just like womp womp, a little boring,
Cute.
not quite there. Next one.
Y3K.
Y3K.
Wow.
Sadly, we won't be around for that.
Speak for yourself. That's dope.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Getting somewhere.
Override.
Why would they say override again?
So like, well, let's say you needed to get through a like your computer crashes, you need to overpower a situation, so you override it.
Got you.
Take control.
Got you.
Probably a good way of putting it.
This shade is the kind of shade I wish was not a duochrome because it actually looks so pretty in the palette. It's just this beautiful like raspberry shade, but you can't even tell that it's a raspberry shade because when it swatches green. And I'm just like not a fan of those. You see that? Okay, last one.
Bite.
Okay. I don't know. I like these shades. I don't really care for the rest.
It seems, in my humble opinion, like something a 14-year-old would wear.
My sister.
Yeah. But high
Sister,
school,
if you're watching, sound off. Would you wear this? Comment below. Or any other 14-year-olds. Or even 18-year-olds.
18-year-old, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
can see
let
it.
us
Like
know.
fun, you know, like very cool. Like I think it's, I actually like it.
For 49 bucks though?
Damn. Sorry, sis.
All right, so, upon the swatches, I'm thinking that this is looking a little weird to me, a little boring, a little missing the mark. I don't know, I'm not really getting why this orange shade is here. If we're gonna be going with like the frosty and the metallic shades, I guess I'm looking for that frosty blue. I guess I'm looking for that circuit board green. I'm looking for something a little less peachy perhaps, you know? But it's not out of the question. I'm not ruling it out. Haven't even tried it yet, so let's actually go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm gonna use my Fenty Beauty Primer. I will say I have officially given up on the P. Louise base. This is not reliable. More on that in my next Faves X Fails. So today, let's go for something trusty. And for me, it is my Fenty Primer. Just gonna blend that out with my fingers. Before I go on, I should mention that there's also an included brush in here. So for the $49 price, you also get a dual-ended brush that has a short, dense bristle, flat side, and also a longer bristle, also somewhat dense, fluffy side. I am kind of curious to see how some of these duochromes swatch wet. So I am gonna use my MAC Fix Plus, add some to the back of my hand, and just swatch a couple of these. So first I'm gonna swatch this Not a Bot, which felt very, very flaky to me. There we go. Next I'm gonna swatch Static. This one right here. Wow, Static is definitely my favorite shade out of all of them. It's the most interesting one, I will say. Next, let's go for Call IT. Just Call IT. Y3K is next. This one. Override. And last but not least is Cyberspace. I'm gonna show you a close-up of that. Interesting. Okay, so that shade that I was talking about, Override, the one that I wish wasn't a duochrome, I actually don't think it translates on camera. When I say on camera, I mean in the monitor, this shade comes off very, very green, but on my skin, it looks a little bit more purple, a little bit more raspberry tone. So I like it a lot better with the naked eye than the way that it appears in my monitor. Bear that in mind, some of these shades are definitely not translating. This one also isn't translating. And to me, it looks also very greenish on the monitor, and in person, it has a bit more of a bluish pinkish shift. Interesting. We're just gonna have to run with it. I gotta say, I'm perplexed. I'm sitting here and I have no idea what look to create with this palette. Like, I'm actually feeling not really very inspired at all. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and start dipping. I'm gonna wet my brush. I'm gonna dip into that Override, the one that does not translate on camera. I'm gonna close my lid and I'm just gonna glide that across, just to see what happens. And this is very, very reflective, very, very frosty also. But when used wet, it is applying, so there's definitely like a little bit of payoff. I'm personally not a huge fan of applying my eyeshadows wet. I find that it's much harder than to blend them out because essentially you're setting them as you're applying them. So I guess I'm just gonna apply that to the majority of my lid, and I'm gonna keep the outer portion somewhat blank. This is a ColourPop E4 brush, applying that all over. Kind of just packing on that shade. I'm gonna clean off that brush. I'm gonna set that aside. I'm actually gonna use the included brush now, the short, dense bristle side. And I'm gonna dip into WHY2K, which is the shade next to it. So first I'm gonna pick up, I'm gonna spray a little bit of that Fix Plus on top of it. And then I'm gonna add that to the outer corner, just stamping that on and just rounding out that shape. Like that. You can definitely see the duochrome shade from reddish brown to purple. I'm not sure if it's a flattering type of shift, but it's a shift nonetheless. Next, I'm thinking I gotta go in with something matte. The only shade that is darker than my skin tone out of the mattes in this palette happens to be this shade called Bite. It's literally my only option, and it's this orangey matte shade. So I'm gonna pick it up on a pencil brush. This one is from Makeup Geek. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of shadow to my outer lower lash line, kind of like that. I'm not sure if it did anything for this look. It's so far not very flattering. But don't worry guys, you can always rely on me to make it work. You watch. I'm gonna grab the other edge of this brush. I'm gonna dip into the shade Virtual. I'm gonna start adding that to the inner portion. Ooh, that's very chalky. Right here underneath the brow, just to give the look a little bit more interest and dimension. Maybe also adding it to the outer corner here, just to kind of soften this situation. I don't know, maybe I should have started out with the matte shade, but honestly, I wasn't really in a position to know what I'm doing. But now in fix-it mode. I'm someone who works well under pressure. I'm very reactive as opposed to proactive, according to the Swatch model. But yes, this is kind of my forte. Okay, so now that I've done that, it looks like things are starting to make sense a little bit. I understand why this shade is here. You kind of need this one, because literally this is a very, very peachy palette. It's got a lot of orangey, peachy, salmony undertones. Even the duochromes, they shift a bit brown, a bit warm, you know? So it's a little weird, but we're working with it. I'm gonna clean off the other edge, dip into Virtual yet again. This is a brand new brush. How is there cat hair on it already? I'm gonna use that edge to soften this orange on the bottom, like that. It's coming together. There's a little bit of fallout, but that's fine. Okay, reaching for a small brush. I'm gonna grab this shade Metadata. This was like a very pale, somewhat nudie, somewhat shimmery shade. I think it'll go great right here. One thing that we used to do back in the early 2000s is actually highlight the entire brow bone, and not just the brow arch, but the entire brow bone, and bring it back all the way into the temple. So I'm doing that for this look as well. And I think this shade is actually perfect for that. All right, I guess I can say I can see it coming together. I'm also gonna take a little bit of that and add that to the inner corner for that champagne-y frost. That's looking cuter than before. And I really do love that shade Static. So I don't know if I can utilize it here. For now, I'll just leave my eye look as is. I'm gonna actually do something crazy. I'm gonna take the BALM Cosmetics Schwing Liner. I'm gonna shake it up. This one's my favorite liner, in case you're wondering, because it's a dippy one. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna look straight into my mirror, and with my eyes open, I'm gonna start lining my top lash line. I never usually do this with the eyes open, but there's a reason why I'm doing it like this today. And then I'm gonna go straight across my crease, or my hood, because my lids are hooded, and I'm gonna wing that out like that. Next, going to close my eye. I'm gonna connect my outer corner to the outer corner of that wing that I just created, like that, okay? And then I'm just gonna perfect it, perfect this shape, and perfect this shape. So essentially we have this little arrow liner happening. But once this liner dries, I will have a perfect cat eye with my eye open. So this is actually not my trick. It's something that I learned from, I think it was Nikki Tutorial's video, but she learned it from someone else. So I don't remember who the originator was of this hooded eye trick, but I love it and I'm making it my own. So you should too, if you have hooded eyes, that is. Let's do the same thing on the other eye. All right, so now that the eyeliner is on, I actually can see the look coming together. I think this is the kind of palette that definitely needs helpers, such as a very dramatic current style liner, like something like this. Also got to perfect it a little bit now that it's dry. And now I think I can see myself adding just a little bit more frost. So I'm gonna go for that Static shade that I really, really loved. I'm gonna pick it up on this little small dense brush, spray it with my Fix Plus, and I'm gonna add that to the center for that pop. See, this shade comes off almost like a foiled shade. It's giving such a beautiful iridescence and it's definitely giving me throwback vibes. This one is my jam. Yeah. Even gonna just dab a little bit into the brow like that, just to have a bit more sparkle. And now I think I'm liking what I'm seeing. All right, let's finish up the rest of the face while all of this sort of sets. I'm gonna grab this Glowish by Huda Beauty bronzer. This one is in the shade Deep Tan. Why? Because I need a little bit of dimension in my face, a little bit of color, a little bit of warmth, like that. I'm gonna add that on my forehead, a little bit on my cheekbones. Oh yeah. Sort of lifting this bronzer up, not so much in a contour style, but in a blush style almost, like that. A little bit on the nose, a little bit on the chin. For the blush, I guess let's go for a peachy shade. Let's tie it all in. Laura Mercier Bellini, Laura Mercier Blush Brush. Like that. I'm gonna go for LYS Beauty Aim High highlighter in Genuine, which is a rose gold. Also very, very reflective shade. I'm gonna go for this Persona Cosmetics brush. Apply that high on the cheekbones and into the temples, like that. For the lips, I grabbed my MAC Spice lip liner because it is very much 90s and Y2K. I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a really long time. I'm going to very precisely outline my lip shape while keeping the line somewhat thin, like that. The line is precise, it's not really smudged out. Okay, I haven't actually done that since probably 8th grade, so I may need a little bit more practice. I'm not gonna actually smudge out the line outside of just the corners, but I'm gonna kind of keep it precise in the outer portion, and then I'm gonna keep the rest of my lip blank for the next step. For my next step, I'm gonna grab this very, very frosty but nude-based lip gloss. This one is called Jazzy, it's from Dose of Colors, and I am going to apply that all over my lip for a very frosty but glossy lip look. And frosty lips is what we're going for today. Kind of a lot, but it's kind of on theme, trust me. Of course, if you're following this video as a tutorial, you absolutely don't have to do this. You can use a flat color gloss, like for example, this shade Must Have or this shade Moody. Both of those are great options, but I really wanted to go for the frost. All right, for my lashes, of course I'm gonna curl them. I'm gonna add my Wet n Wild Big Poppa Mascara because I love that one. Okay, I'm gonna do one more crazy thing in this video, and that is actually going to be clamping my lashes together at the tip to create this very doll-like sort of lash. You see that? So now this was another thing that I kind of recall being popular during that era. Although I was not an adult, I was old enough to remember. I was old enough to experiment with makeup. And this like doll-like lash look was definitely something that I would do. Okay, I haven't done it in a while, so I'm not that great at it, but you get the idea. All right, for my upper lash line, I think I'm gonna use my Tempt magnetic lashes from Kiss. I have these cut in half, and I've been using them a lot just to add some lash accents to my outer corners, especially when I have like a dramatic liner going. So I'm gonna quickly add the magnetic liner right here. And then I'm gonna add my lash. Boom, boom. Beautiful. And boom, and boom. All right, you guys, that is my Y2K inspired but present day look using the new Urban Decay Naked Cyber palette and also a lot of helpers. Let me quickly show you a close-up of what my eyes look like because I'm pretty proud of this creation. And now on to the verdict. Okay, so I'm just gonna say it exactly how I feel it. I think this was a pretty ambitious attempt on the part of Urban Decay. Although I see some of the cyberspace inspo in this palette, I thought that the color compilation just fell short a little bit. It felt very much peachy and very frosty and summery, but not in a way that would make me feel nostalgic, not in a way that would make me feel like I'm creating a throwback modern look today. Something about this color combo just doesn't hit the mark. I found myself confused. I found myself a little bit perplexed. I didn't really know what kind of look to create with it. Moreover, I feel that with so many frosty shades and with such a light color palette that leans so heavily into the light spectrum, I don't really see this being as a universal palette. That's first and foremost. Secondly, I also don't see this as a very wearable palette. There isn't a single deep tone or a deep shade in here to create dimension on your eye or to create a more versatile wearable eyeshadow look. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say that this is probably one of my least favorite naked palettes thus far. I'm gonna have to give this palette a C+, if I'm being nice. Yeah, some of the duochromes were definitely pretty. They were unique tones, I will say, but the palette itself just didn't feel very workable. It didn't feel very user-friendly, and I found myself reaching for a lot of different helpers in order to make this look work. But at the same token, I will say that I'm pretty proud of myself for making it work, because I really like this look, and I'm actually going somewhere tonight, and I actually will proudly wear this look. So kudos to me, but I can't see myself reaching for this palette alone to create a single look. That is the bottom line. That is my story, and I am sticking to it. And on that final note, I am going to zoom on out and say farewell. You can go ahead and check out more of my videos right here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah. Peace.